So, hello everyone, it's the Cricket Connoisseur here, and welcome to the third and final preview show of the England versus West Indies Test Match Series. So, in today's show, I'm joined once again by Beijing commentator and analyst Nikhil Uttamchandani, and in today's show, we'll be covering all of the bases of the third and final Test match, the series decider between England and the West Indies, which is all set to kick off this Friday at Emirates Old Trafford. So, first things first, Nikhil, thank you again for coming onto the show. How's your day been so far, mate?
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me. Really great to be back here. Obviously, the West Indies having lost, but yeah, still great to look towards a highly anticipated third test. And yeah, thanks a lot for having me back on the TCC show.
Hey, no problem. But yes, before we start talking about the third match, we have to touch upon the second match. For those who don't know, England did win that match by 113 runs. It was a pretty good performance, to be honest, from the Three Lions. I was absolutely chuffed to pieces with it on that final day. But yes, to kick-start really, Nikhil, we'll start before the match even started. We had the whole thing with Jofra Archer. What did you make of that whole situation?
A pretty interesting one. I don't want to touch too much into it because I can't say that anybody outside the England camp knows the full details. But what I'll say is I think Jofra probably made a mistake. And as everybody's saying, he would know. I've seen he's been getting racially abused and stuff. I don't think, that's really the right way for people to go about it. I think, and another thing that has a lot to do with it is the fact that he is doing so well and such a prominent person in society. I think people tend to pick on these people. Obviously, him being black, playing for England, the whole racist issue comes in. But yeah, I think people are being very unreasonable, and I don't think that's the right way to handle it. And I think Jofra made a mistake. He's a top class player, and he'll know how to come back from something like that. So yeah, I'm not worried at all. And I think it was I thought it would be really good for us to miss out on to have to not face Jofra. But I mean, England showed their quality and depth in bowling when the others were able to do such a good job.
Well, yeah, we'll talk about Jofra's selection later on, but yes, I completely agree with you there. That thing this morning, that was absolutely ridiculous. I read that in his column I think it was in the Daily Mail.
Daily Mail, yeah.
Yeah, awful, absolutely awful. And to any England fans out there, that is not the way, and I do not condone that, as should any cricket fan. But yes, moving on from the whole Jofra incident, I think he will be back at some point. Either if it's not this series, he'll be back in the Pakistan series, won't he? Definitely, he's a quality bowler. But yes, moving on into England's first innings. So Ben Stokes and Dom Sibley's partnership. What did you make, first of all, of Dom Sibley's batting?
I think it's quality, actually. 372 balls is something that I've wanted the West Indies to find in someone. We've had Craig Brathwaite in the past, but Craig, to me, hasn't. Well, he's now coming back into form, but if Craig is to bat 372 balls like a Dom Sibley, that's when Craig is at his best. So I think that role that Sibley played for England was absolutely brilliant, allowing someone like a Ben Stokes, who also spent 356 balls there, but hit 17 fours, 2 sixes. It also allowed for him to play a lot more freely, and I have to credit Dom Sibley to score 120 with 5 fours. It really is, it means you run 100 runs. So I really have to give him credit for the mental toughness that he showed, and I think he batted the West Indies out of the game.
Yeah, definitely. No, I'm not going to disagree with that as a Warwickshire fan and Dom Sibley advocate. I have been since the 24th of July. In fact, it's almost been a year since I wanted him in the England team. But finally we got our wish. But yeah, he batted magnificently in that match. As you said, gritty, determined, resilient, exactly what England have been looking for 8 years, really, ever since Strauss's retirement. And yeah, it was just absolutely fantastic. That partnership between him and Stokes really took England into the ascendancy. And also in that innings, we saw yet again from the West Indies, this time Roston Chase. He bowled absolutely brilliantly yet again. Just to give those at home some stats about Roston Chase against England. In 8 matches, he's got 22 wickets, which is a third of his career total wickets. Averages 34.04 and has a strike rate of 58.6. What did you make of Roston's bowling in that first innings?
Yeah, I think it was great. I mean, to put in 44 overs, regardless of the wickets alone, I think that's really commendable. And what I'll say is to that is I think Roston showed why we needed out-and-out off spin. I don't think Dom Bess was as effective as Roston, but I think I had said on the preview show for the second test that I wanted Rakeem Cornwall to play, and I think Roston showed exactly why. But nonetheless, let me give him his credit. I think to be able to do that with the ball, I talked to him after that day. He bowled with so many overs, and he said, "Mate, my shoulder is absolutely gone." So I can't, it's probably very tough bowling. He bowled over 20 consecutive overs. But yeah, to be able to do that and come out and bat as well, and score runs and absorb some pressure for the West Indies, I have to give him a lot of credit. And I think he's slowly changing the perception of just being a batsman who can bowl. He's
Yes.
slowly becoming a actual genuine all-rounder. So real credit to Roston Chase.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of people still mention that, don't they? About he is just a batsman who bowls a little bit. He doesn't spin the ball. That is something that we do realise. It's just arm ball, arm ball, arm ball. These gentle offies that you'd probably see down the village, but obviously a much quicker pace and a lot more accurate than a lot of village players. But yeah, again, phenomenal from him. And now let's talk about the West Indies bowling, and in particular that evening session. The evening session in that first innings. What do you think went wrong for the West Indies in that first innings towards the end?
I think maybe we went away from sort of our plan from the first test. I found in the first test we were a lot more attacking at the stumps of England and the English batsmen. And I think part and parcel is that because of fitness, basically, England had an opportunity to change all four of their seamers, except Ben Stokes, obviously. And we did not, unfortunately. We don't have the depth and experience that England will have when you're able to bring a guy like Chris Woakes off the bench, Sam Curran, these exciting youngsters, Stuart Broad, of course. So I think you could definitely tell early on day one when Jason Holder won the toss, decided to bowl, that these bowlers were definitely, they were feeding it. And I have in Roddy Essex press conference this morning, he actually said that Shannon and these guys look like they're going to play as well. So to me, that's a bit worrying because I didn't think Shannon Gabriel, who's bowled 69.5 overs in 2 matches, obviously with only a rest period of 3 days coming off a big injury, I wouldn't advise him to play him because he did look really stiff in the last game. Now, credit to him, he still put in a big shift.
Yes, he did.
But yeah, I think I put it down to basically just not having the ability to rotate bowlers at the free will that England did, and unfortunately, our guys' fitness levels didn't, add up.
Yeah, we'll talk about Shannon Gabriel and Bix. That is a very good point. Just looked as stiff as a board in the field, didn't he? And in England's second innings, just continuing knocking it to him at mid-on, just stealing quick singles. Yeah, we'll have to see about him. In my opinion, I probably wouldn't play him, but we'll discuss that a bit later. But sticking on that second match still, what do you think the West Indies can take away positively? What do you think they can take away from this match heading into the third match?
I think, listen, there's a lot of positives from this game. No, I'm just going to tell you something that I've said a numerous amount of times. In the past, you would have to beg a West Indies batsman to get 1 or 2 50s. Now, in this game, we've scored 5 50s. So, to me, I'm seeing a lot of improvement in a side which was never really able to accumulate runs. We used to be really dependent on the low order, and you could see in this series already that the top order is stepping up. We've had 5 50s in this match, and I think the next stage in our development, whether that comes in the next match or later down the line, will be for our players to then convert these 50s into hundreds. Yeah. And I think they're very capable. I think the look of someone like a Jermaine Blackwood able to switch on and off was excellent. That innings that he played, and Shamar Brooks, who I think I have to give him so much credit, coming from Afghanistan, scoring at 100, didn't have the best of first class years, but I think that's when a player is great, when he's able to average only 18 below standard in the first class division, but then able to come and do so well and be the West Indies leading scorer in this Test series so far. So yeah, I have to credit all the guys, the batsmen as well, they're stepping up, and I think there's a lot of positives and improvements that I'm seeing in the current West Indies lineup.
Yeah, 100%. And yes, I agree about Shamar Brooks. He's really standing out to me in terms of his maturity in the way in which he's going about it. He's seeing the ball underneath his eye line, playing it nice and late, which you love to see in English conditions. Yeah, he's looking like some player, isn't he, out there? He's absolutely fantastic. Jermaine Blackwood again turned it on in the second innings. But obviously, the match didn't end up going in the West Indies' favour. What do you think they really need to improve on heading into this series decider?
I think where we lost that match was, I think we were set up to draw that quite easily. And on late day four, when we had that collapse and England had the opportunity to come out and bat, yes, they did lose 2 wickets, but I think that completely shifted the momentum. That collapse. I think if we had just batted to the end of day 4, regardless if 9 wickets down or 5, we were 199 for 4 at tea. I thought we would have drawn the game easily because England would not have had enough time to post a good score on the board. But unfortunately, things didn't go that way. So I think that was just a slight mental lapse. As I said, I credit the batting of these guys. I think they've done really well. So to me, it would just be to be more concentrated at the crease. So 242 for 5 we were, and then we had that sort of collapse. But yeah, it was pretty unlucky for the first time in a while. The order didn't really give much, but you can't depend on them every game. And I would just want the guys to be a bit more focused, and I think they're very capable of in the next test.
Yeah, definitely, and we'll talk about that middle slower order. There was something on the Caribbean Cricket podcast that I'll be discussing about later. But yes, what about England now? So obviously England ended up winning this 113 runs. What impressed you most about England? Was it the bowling or the batting or a combination of both?
Ben Stokes.
Well, yeah, fair enough.
But nah, he was brilliant. But now I'll say yeah, a bit of both. I think short broad guys like Sam Curran, Chris Woakes, amazing with the ball. And I look at this and I think England have a good problem to solve, but they definitely have a problem on their hands. I know you'll agree with me in terms of you have all these guys. How do you look at this game? You see Sam Curran bowl so well, pick up wickets at regular intervals. How do you see? How do you sit down and say, well, no, he has to sit down for the next test and bring in someone like a Jimmy Anderson? How do you even leave out Jimmy Anderson playing at home? How do you leave out Jofra Archer and Mark Wood, who've only played one test? So I think they've got a serious problem, and I think the entire game was set up by that 400 odd that England set in the first inning. So based on that, yeah, I think England did really deserve to win this test, and they played some great cricket. What about you?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think we deserved it. Obviously, it was a bit nervy when day 3 got washed out. I was thinking, oh goodness me, it's going to be one of those draws again in Manchester, knowing the weather as well. I thought it wouldn't have been great on day 4. But yeah, absolutely fantastic from England. I can't really fault that performance. Dom Sibley and Stokes already touched upon that. Ben Stokes is just another level, isn't he, really, at the moment? I think he's averaging 70, 76 or 78 with the bat since 2019, which is absolutely incredible. That's moved him up to 3rd in the ICC batting rankings as well. The bowling, as you mentioned, was so brilliant with the new ball from Stuart Broad and Chris Woakes. And yeah, as you said, we have got such a dilemma heading into this 3rd match. I genuinely don't know who we're going to go with, because you mentioned Sam Curran. Not only does he offer you that extra bit of, obviously, angle as a left armour, got some beautiful swing movement, but he also offers the footmarks to the likes of Dom Bess, or if we're going to go with Moeen Ali or Jack Leach. It's really, really tough. But in terms of the actual performance, faultless. Absolutely brilliant from England, from Sibley to Stokes. I mean, pretty much to a man. Ollie Pope's catch at the end, have that concentration as well against the tail. Absolutely phenomenal. 5 stars, 10 out of 10, whatever rating you want to give it. I was really impressed by England in that match. And yes, as you said, in my opinion as well, thoroughly deserved. Just as the West Indies deserved to win the first one. I think it's more than fair. But now heading into the second match, into the third match, sorry, the series decider. This is the interesting one, isn't it? This really is. We'll start with England, I think. So West Indies, we've got a lot to talk about, I think, in terms of their selection. Who do you think will come in for England on Friday?
You put me in. I was actually wanted to ask you that question because, listen, I think
can answer it. I can answer it first if you like.
I think that can go any. No, it's fine. I'll answer. But you being the English analyst, but no, I think, listen, that could go any way. I mean, I think England can pick any of the 8 seamers and still compete at a high level. They have no weaknesses to me in their seam attack. I looked at this current bowling lineup that played the second test, and I said, well, listen, game on, West Indies here. I think that you have no Jofra Archer, you have no Jimmy Anderson, but these guys bowl like a complete bowling performance. And I honestly don't know. I think Broad will retain his place simply because of what he adds. But I don't see how you can drop someone like a Chris Woakes and Sam Curran after bowling so well. So I think Ben Stokes' fitness, even though he said it's not serious, he obviously had that groin issue in the last test. I think that has a big influence in terms of the balance of the side. But I think Jofra will come back, maybe for Woakes and Curran. But I think definitely you'll see Broad. And see, the thing is now, what about Jimmy Anderson? So I'll give you a go at it because obviously I'm struggling.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm as well. I think in terms of the bat, we'll start with the batting. I don't think we're going to make any changes. As much as I'd love Ben Foakes to come in, I don't think it's going to happen. I really don't. I think Butler will keep his place for the last one. There's not really much point.
I do think though. If I could just, Aaron, if I could just interrupt you quickly, I think Ben Foakes has a big chance to play against Pakistan though, simply because of his ability to play against seamers, and not only that, but also if Butler struggles again, I don't see why they'll keep trying him. I think Foakes has and to have a fresh start in a new series, it could be really good for him.
Yeah, definitely. 100%. As you said, I'll tell you what was funny. I think it was on Cricinfo. They do this thing called Polite Inquiries. I think it was Alexi Nunes, sorry. And she said, how hard do you think Ed Smith screamed into his Joss Butler bed sheets when he got out for a duck? I mean, just says it all, doesn't it, really? There does need to be a change. And as I said, I think this is it for Butler now. I think it's going to be this series decider. And if not, it'll be Foakes for Pakistan. But yes, in terms of batting, I'm happy. I think Crawley, you might as well just keep him at 3 for the last one. Didn't really get much of a chance, did he, really? But in terms of the bowlers, it is a ridiculously tough question. I think the only one who's really concrete nailed on for me, other than Ben Stokes, is Stuart Broad. So I think those two are going to be the same options.
And then you have two to pick between Watts, Curran, Jimmy Anderson, Jofra, and Mark Wood. It's crazy, man. Honestly, it's crazy.
I don't think I'd go Mark Wood. And to be honest, I don't think I'd go Jofra purely because of what the surface was looking like. I don't think it was a Jofra Archer surface. It was
me neither.
Yeah, not much bounce. He's not going to be able to extract that extra bit of pace like he could in Southampton. He'll do that against Pakistan. I reckon he'll be back for the series opener against the men in green. So that eliminates Wood and Archer for me. I don't think it's their kind of track. Now, in terms of Anderson, Wokes and Curran.
The thing is, will they play Wokes and Curran back-to-back tests? Obviously, with all this talk about them wanting to rotate bowlers and stuff, I don't know if they'll play them back-to-back. It's possible. I mean, Curran is a young man. No reason why he can't do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Chris Wokes is a young 33 as well. But this is the thing. I was looking at this with Chris Wokes. I did do a bit of extra background reading about this test because his stats were just phenomenal. In this match, 5 wickets, an average of 15.2. Okay, in terms of Wokes in England alone, 20 matches, 20 of his 34, 75 wickets. That's 3 in every single 4 of his wickets that have come in England. An average of 22.9 with a strike at 44.4. And in addition to that, in this test match, he had the most full shots drawn from his bowling, 28%. So almost 1 in 3 of his balls resulting in edges or misses. I can't fathom England dropping him after that performance. I just can't. He was phenomenal. He was phenomenal. And as a Warwickshire fan, I know that might seem a bit biased to some people, but he has to play for me. His ability to extract that bit of swing, if you look at the weather forecast, it's going to be overcast conditions. It's going to be similar pitch conditions as well. You can't drop him, in my opinion. So I think realistically, it's between Curran and Anderson. And the thing with Curran, you have that angle, you have that ability to shift it in, to shape it in and swing it in, But then you've got Jimmy at Old Trafford.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to go away from Jimmy, you know, obviously being at his home ground and stuff. And also tell us about Overton as well. Isn't he another seamer that hasn't been played as yet? And he's probably someone that's looking for a chance as well.
I wouldn't play him personally. Okay. He is a good swing bowler. He's been brilliant for Somerset for a number of years. We saw him in the Ashes last year as well at Old Trafford. For me, I think realistically he's outcompeted as a swing bowler by Wokes and Anderson. I don't think we'll see him. I don't think we'll see Robinson. I don't think we'll see Ollie Stone either. But that's the thing. For me personally, I would keep the same bowling lineup if we could, because I think it's going to be similar conditions. And that does include Dom Bess. And we'll talk a bit about Bess in a second. But I just think you've got Curran with the foot marks. He was brilliant. He broke that massive partnership, didn't he, between Brooks and Blackwood, was it, in the first innings?
Yeah.
Wokes, again, I couldn't look past him. He was too good. And Stuart Broad with that new ball was absolutely lethal. So I would keep the same. If you have to make a change, I'd go Curran out, Anderson in. But it's going to be ridiculously hard. It really is.
Either way, I think that they'll be, you know what I mean, fully stacked. So I don't think it's too much to worry about.
Oh, yeah, but it's difficult. It's difficult. It's a good problem to have as a cricket fan. Obviously, you want to have all that talent, but yeah, it just makes it so hard to predict, doesn't it? And in terms of Dom Bess, I alluded to there, I would keep him for this match. What were your thoughts on Dom Bess's performance in that second game?
I thought he was okay. I thought, you know, when you think about a day 5 surface, you expect your spinner to have a big influence. I mean, Ross and Chase able to extract that much, wickets and out of the surface in the first inning. I found Bess. No, he's well. Don't get me wrong, but I thought maybe the wickets column shows that he's probably underachieved in the series. But when you have the seamers of England picking up wickets so readily, he probably doesn't need to place that big of a role with the ball. But yeah, I think, you know, he'll be looking for a big haul because you've got guys like Moeen Ali, you've got Jack Leach and all these spinners there and waiting in the wings. So yeah, I think there's some pressure on him, but I'm sure England will play him for the next test. Yeah,
definitely. What you mentioned about Ross and Chase as well, I think this is fair. On the first day, there was quite a bit of moisture on the surface.
Yeah, there was
just offering some skidding on, wasn't it? We saw it with the Crawley dismissal, for example. It just dipped slightly.
And the Rory Burns ones as well. Yeah. The Rory Burns one as well.
Yeah, definitely. And also, his dismissal of Jason Holder. That's exactly what we were carving. Beautifully flighted into the rough, bit of turn, straight
and you
through the gate.
you saw how much it meant to him. He was fired up after being slapped for 10 runs in 2 balls. Yeah.
I love how you got that in there. Yes, with Dom Bess, there is just one thing I will say, and this is something that Sky did a brilliant job analysing, because I noticed this throughout the day. In both innings, he was either over-pitching or under-pitching a lot of deliveries. So for non-spinners out there, under-pitching is short ball, over-pitching is almost full toss, very full. So it's in the slot, basically. Very easy to deal with as a batsman. And they did an analysis between him and Nathan Lyon. So Lyon in last year's Ashes, Bess in this Test match. Lyon hit the good or full areas 93% of the time. So just 7%, I believe it's 2% in over-pitched, 5% in short. That's brilliant, and that's why Nathan Lyon is one of the elite spin bowlers in world cricket. Looking at Dom Bess in both innings, I believe his good to full was 85 to 86%. So 14%, 9% of them were overpitched, 5% of them were underpitched. So that's something I think he needs to work on. But obviously, he's a young spinner. That will come as his game develops and matures. Also, could do with a bit more flight, I think. I think at times
I agree. But actually, I think he overpitches the ball a lot. You see the West Indies play a lot of expansive drives, but I don't think England mind that, because when he does get it right, especially in those footmarks, he's brilliant.
Yeah, and he did it in Port Elizabeth as well against South Africa. Got 5 in that match. So yeah, for me, I think it's just a young spinner learning his trade, really. So I'd keep Dom Bess. Hopefully, he'll come to Warwickshire as well after this series. But we wait and pray for that. But yeah, moving on now to the main segment. This is because this is such an interesting area now. It's almost like it's flipped. Last week it was England, now it's West Indies. What changes would you make to the men in maroon heading into the series decider?
Well, I think there's changes to be made. I'm just worried that the West Indies don't make them. I mean, bank on experience, but I don't know if the guys are fit enough. The first change I'll say is Bonner would come in for Shea Hope for me. I think Shea Hope, he's looked, don't get me wrong, he's looked brilliant with the bat. In terms of art, everybody must say at home, what do you mean he's looked brilliant? He's not scoring any runs. But in terms of him starting innings, he's looked spot on. I think there's some mental lapse in concentration where, like, if, for example, in the first innings, he got to that 25, you say, okay, yeah, he's in. Now runs will come, and then he just has a mental lapse. And I think it's not fair to guys in the squad that have worked hard in the first class level and do deserve a play. And Nkrumah Bonner's won, average 58 in the first class season. So I think it's his time to get a chance. Not getting much for Shea Hope, so you never know what a wild card like Bonner. England may not know how to prepare for him. So yeah, I think that could work. So I would play Bonner for Hope. That would be my only change in the batting. But in the bowling, I think there's quite a few. So I'll just start with, obviously, I'll go Jason Holder. Raheem Cornwall for me would come in for Shannon Gabriel, just per se. Because I think Gabriel, he may be fit. He might say he's fit. But I just think the first over of the second test, you run up, you bowl out those wide deliveries. He looks very stiff. And I think we have to manage. Yes, we don't know when our next test series will be, but we have to remember that, listen, this guy's coming off a 7-8 month injury, and he's bowled 69.5 overs, nearly 70 overs in a short space of 2 weeks. So they've got to be very careful with Shannon. We know he's not the most athletic. So personally, I would leave him out, even though I know everything's on the line. We want to win this test, etc. But I would personally leave him out for Cornwall. So Cornwall for him, I'll say Kemar Roach will play. And then to me, if Alzari Joseph is fit, I think he'll play. Or I think Shamar Holder may get a nod. However, what I've been considering a lot today, actually, I went for a beach swim, and this thought came into my mind. You mentioned about this pitch not being for the fast bowlers. Someone like a Raymond Reefer gets a lot of swing. With the ball, he's a valid option with the bat as well. Can provide that stability at the bottom. I think he averages over 20, near to 30 in for a Sasser kit. So with the bat, of course. So I think he could be a viable option. If someone like Alzari's hurt instead of a Shamar Holder, I think Raymond, he deserves his chance. He's only played one test. He's traveled diligently with the West Indies for 2 to 3 years now, and it's time he gets a chance. And I think that extra batting at the bottom could be what we need. So it's growing on me more and more as we get closer to the test, but I think he could be a viable option, and I hope he gets the nod.
Yeah, definitely. I love how that inspiration, a beach swim. God, yeah. No beaches in Warwickshire, so I can't relate to that. But, let's just break that down, really. So in terms of Shannon Gabriel, I agree. I mean, there's no point risking injury with him. He's a fantastic bowler. We saw that in Southampton. And he did. He honestly looked like some of the people you see, the 40-plus-year-olds down at the Village Green in terms of his fielding.
Yep.
But yes, he is a great bowler, but you don't want to obviously overexert him. In terms of Raheem Cornwall, I was just thinking they panned to him on, I believe it was I think it was day 1 or day 2. He must have been sat there licking his lips when he saw Roston Chase getting some turn. He must have just been looking at that and thinking, whoa, okay, I fancy this. And it'll be a similar kind of track because the conditions have been the same. It's been raining in Manchester. It's looking overcast and grey again, unfortunately, for this test match. So I think he has to come in. He'll extract a bit of turn. If you can get some foot marks as well, perfect. Now, I really, really liked the addition of Raymond Reefer in there because I added him in if Outside Joseph isn't fit. I just thought exactly the same. And not only that, he was very good in the Brathwaite versus Holder 11 match.
Yeah, he took 5 wickets and 13 deliveries.
Exactly. So he's already got that, not so much track record, but he's got a bit of confidence on that pitch, knows how it's going to move, the conditions in England a bit better as a result of that. So yes, I think that could be interesting. So for me personally, it'd be Holder, Cornwall, Joseph if he's fit. If not, I would put Raymond Reefer in there, Kemar Roach and Roston Chase. I think that'd be my 5 for the West Indies. Now, in terms of the batsmen, this is the interesting bit. I agree with you about Shea Hope and Nkrumah Bonner. Definitely, I think that'll be something very interesting. I just wanted to ask, what would you do with the batting lineup if that does prove to be the case? Would you put Brooks up to 3 or put Bonner at 3?
For sure. No, I would let Brooks bat at 3 and let Bonner bat at 4.
Yeah, good. I agree with that.
And even I thought Shamar Brooks should have batted 3 for the entire series and hoped to bat 4 just to protect him from the new ball a bit. But obviously, the selectors didn't see it that way.
Good point. And also, this is away from the series. Do you think that that could be his position in the future? Because you've got Darren Bravo, you've got Shimon Hetmeyer coming back in. Do you think you could have Brooks at 3 and then maybe Bravo Hetmeyer at 4?
Yeah, I think Shea Hope, I'm sure he'll use probably the next first class season to get some runs on his belt and get some red ball for him. But yeah, there's a lot of competition for those top order spots. I think Shamar Brooks is showing why he's cemented in that top order position, and he bats at 3 for Barbados. So I think, yes, I would let him bat at 3 and then let Darren Bravo, the more experienced, or Shamar Hetmeyer bat at 4 for sure, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I know there has been a lot of talk about Shea Hope, but I think it is warranted and I do think it is justified. I think he's been averaging 16 since 2019. And for a number 3 batsman, you look at England's treatment of Joe Denley, for example, he was averaging almost 30.
Exactly.
So
people were saying, like, as people say, I don't think he would even make an Ireland or Afghanistan team. And as I said before, forget about the average and all that. Just simply, it's not fair to guys in the first class set up that work very hard and score runs. They deserve an opportunity too. When a player is not performing, regardless if he's the golden boy for the West Indies in the future, he's great in white ball. We cannot keep playing players on potential. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm never going to write off Shea from the red ball format. I think he's so capable. And just the fact that he's not scoring any runs and yet looks so good.
Yeah.
I think that just shows that when he does get it right, he's going to be some spectacular player. And I have no doubts he will get it right and silence the haters in a couple of years or in short time.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, the guy averages 47.8 in white ball cricket. It's ridiculous. But I did just want to point upon that. I was listening to this during the broadcast again. He hasn't played a domestic red ball game since 2017. And I just feel like he could really use, especially given that we've got the county season next year. Look at what Craig Brathwaite did. Craig Brathwaite had a very good season with Glamorgan this year in Division 2. And look how much better he's looked in English conditions. I think Shea Hope needs some time in West Indies domestic cricket. I think a county stint, there'd be counties frothing at the mouth for him. Because as you said, he looks very good, that 25 in the first innings, sorry. He just looks so fluent, but it's just that little creeping in, those little lapses in concentration. And also, I think his technique could use a bit of working on as well. In terms of his... Go on, Nikhil.
Yeah, just to update, people say like they wonder why he hasn't played any first class cricket. I think it's because we saw it this year with Kemar Roach. He's a one format player, but the West Indies actually limited him to only 5 games. So I think because Shea plays basically all 3 formats, the West Indies tried to give him a break during that time and load manage. But yeah, he definitely could use a county stint and could use some first class cricket. And I'm sure Shea wants to do well. I'm sure that he will, find and rectify these problems.
Yeah, definitely. I have hope in him. No pun intended. I do have hope in Shea's red ball career because he is a wonderfully gifted batsman, but he just needs to find that consistency, I think. And as I said, in his technique, this is something which I don't fault him for, actually, because we've seen it with Johnny Bairstow. We saw it with Jason Roy, Lokesh Rahul as well from India. He's very leg side dominant. And in white ball cricket, that suits you very well. The problem is in red ball cricket, it doesn't. And if you look at his dismissals, he's had a lot of bowls in terms of his last 14, 13 innings. He's had about 4 or 5 bowls. The rest were caught, no LBWs. But he needs to work on that. But I think we will see him in the future again. I think he's more than capable enough. Now, an interesting one, which I alluded to earlier, which was asked on the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, was the dropping of Shane Dowrich. Because, yeah, exactly, that's the reaction I was looking for. Because when that came in, all 3 of you looked absolutely baffled by that. Would you drop Shane Dowrich in any circumstances for this 3rd match?
Not any circumstance, unless he physically can't walk on the field. I don't understand how people could come and say about, like, what has the guy done wrong? Yes, he had a pair in this game, but there's someone that scored a 60 in the last match, and he's been one of our calmest and coolest batsmen at the crease in this series. So I think we definitely need him, and his keeping, his glove work is excellent as well. So I don't see any need to drop him.
Fair enough. I will just play some devil's advocate, though. Okay, I will. What about bringing in Josh Silva, replacing Shane Dowrich, giving him a run out, and maybe playing him at 5?
No chance.
No.
Not yet. As Marshall, the guy from Caribbean Cricket Podcast, was saying, I wouldn't even rush Josh Silva in. I think if there's a need for him, yes, he's capable. But, yeah, give these guys some time, man. This is for them to acclimatize. And I don't see why we need to rush anyone into the game when you have a very competent, probably one of our best all-round wicketkeeper batsmen for a long time in the Caribbean, Shane Dowrich. I think he's very talented, and he showed that when England came to the Caribbean in 2019. So Shane Dowrich is not leaving anytime soon. So for all the haters out there, yeah, I'm sorry, man.
Hey, fair enough. I mean, I wouldn't drop him personally. I think you can't really judge him off one game, can you? It's ridiculous. No, it'd be keeping for me. But the final one for me, which was quite an interesting one, is the opening batsman. Because Craig Brathwaite's looked fantastic, but then you've got the other opener, John Campbell, who I think he got a 50-plus score in Lucknow, didn't he, against Afghanistan? I think he got 55. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one. But since then, his scores have been going down. Would you replace him, or at least be tempted to replace him, with Shane Mosley?
Well, obviously I'm tempted because I know Shane, and I know how much. No, I know how much. Nah, not even the Barbados bias. Just because I know how hard he's worked for that. And as I keep saying, he scored 450 runs, over 450 runs every first class season for the last 2 to 4 years. So, no, don't get me wrong. He's a left-hander. He's very compact, got a solid technique. I think when he does get that chance, which he will at some point, he's going to be ready for it, and you're going to see a real evolution of a good batter. Another pro is that him and Craig Brathwaite open for the same club side, and as well as Barbados as well. So, listen, his time will come. I think for Campbell, obviously we've seen that the temperament that he has, you know, it may not be suited for red ball cricket, and he definitely has a lot of improvement to make in terms of we need somebody to stick in with Craig. I mean, it's great to have a fast 30, but it's not going to help the West Indies. You look at Burns and Sibley, for example, the way that those 2 guys are able to bat. So I think I won't drop him for this game because it's not fair. You have someone like a Shea Hope given a chance for a long time. And I think Campbell deserves one more test at least. But I think if he fails at the end of this test, I think, you will see someone like a Shane Mosley or Josh Silva maybe, who can also open the bat and come in the future maybe.
Definitely. I mean, for me, I would be tempted to go Shane Mosley purely because I want to see a bit more of him. He really impressed me, as you mentioned. Who was it against? He scored a 150. Was it against Trinidad or Jamaica? In the
Trinidad. Yeah, I know which one you mean. It was Trinidad, I believe.
Yeah. Okay, it was Trinidad. Yeah, it was Trinidad. I think it was. Anyway, doesn't really matter who it was against.
155 not out. 155 not out.
That knock, absolutely superb batting. And he got 83 not out in the Holder Brathwaite match, which was at Old Trafford again. So for me, I just want to see a bit more of him. John Campbell does look a bit low on confidence as well. Whether that's enough reason to obviously omit him from the team is a completely different discussion. But I don't know. For me personally, I would like to see Shane Mosley, purely because I want to see a bit more of him. But we'll see, obviously. The West Indies might completely surprise us. We could see a Marquinhos Mindley, for example, or a Preston McSween. You never know,
man. Or Keon Harding, of course. You never know, man.
Of course, yeah. That's the beauty of Test cricket and these 2 selectors. But yes, moving on to obviously the most important question of the 3rd match for many people. What is your prediction?
I think it's gonna draw. I'm so glad to see some rain there and on this forecast because, of course, for those saying I'm terrible and want the rain to fall, we are the holders of the Wisden Trophy. The series being squared at 1-1. If this game draws, I think we're gonna, we are gonna retain the Wisden Trophy. So, yeah, I've looked at the forecast. Friday seems to be good, but every day after that, I think Saturday is a complete washout, and then you've got Sunday and you've got some showers here and there. So, I think personally it'll draw, and the West needs to retain the Wisden Trophy.
Yeah, I would agree. Looking at the weather, I'm not too confident, to be honest, of much play being going on. Sorry, shame it isn't in Birmingham because we've got one day of rain and the rest of it's nice and sunny. But it's just how the series is, unfortunately, and we have to play in Manchester. But yes, I think it'll be 1-1. And at the end of the day, I think that's actually a rather fitting scoreline.
That's
I
a
really
fair
do.
result for sure. It's been a balanced series so far for sure.
Definitely, it's been a spectacular series. How good has it been to see two teams who, let's face it, before the series started, a lot of people would have written off the West Indies, and they've come here, have been absolutely magnificent, both on and off the pitch in terms of the way in which they've conducted themselves as well, both on, during the battles. It's been a magnificent series. I've really enjoyed it. Even the first game that we lost in Southampton, it was brilliant to watch Shannon Gabriel do his thing. But yes, I think it's not only fitting because of the way in which they've played, but also the circumstances, really. You think about the situation and the circumstance that these guys have come to England during a global pandemic purely to entertain us as cricket fans. They kind of deserve to go away with it. And I think for every single one of those, the reserve players included, deserve a heck of amount of credit. They really do. If not a little pay rise as well at the end from West Indies Cricket Board. But yes, I think it'll be 1-1. West Indies will retain the Wisden Trophy. So yes, you'll probably be the happier of the two of us, Nikhil. But we'll be back. I don't know when we're actually touring the Caribbean again, but we'll be back to get our.
It better be a 5-match series that we get based on what we had to put our players through for this. It better be a nice, sizable reward from England.
To be honest, I'm all in favour of that. I really am. As I said, we do need to give back because, as I said, full credit to these guys. If I had a cat on, yeah, I'll tip it. Been absolutely fantastic to see them over here, and yes, a nice 5-match series. Have it like the old days. Turner, Shamar Brooks into Brian Lara. We'll have who would be Curtly Ambrose and Walsh.
I don't know. Maybe by then Shamar Holden. Maybe I don't know.
But yeah, I'd love that. But yeah, we'll wait and see. But yes, that pretty much wraps up the preview show. To be honest, Nikhil. Of course, is there anything that you'd like to plug, promote your social media channels, for example?
Yeah, guys, you could just follow me on Nick Utam on all my socials. But for some great content, I also follow Aaron on the Cricket Connoisseur, and also follow Carib Cricket. We are on Twitter, and we're doing some nice shot diaries. I'm gonna ask you, Aaron. I want to tell you after, but we want to get you on for maybe 1 or 2 days for the next test. I think having that English outlook would be great. But yeah, guys, we have an exciting show after every day of the test match by the name of Shot Diaries. So you could check us out, Caribbean Cricket Podcast on YouTube. And thanks a lot for having me, bro.
No problem. It's been an absolute pleasure for all 3 preview shows. I mean, this is the end of the preview shows. We'll try and get you on for some content later in the year, maybe some CPL, maybe when Jamaica Talawars win their 3rd CPL this season. And we'll get you on again, Nikhil. But yes, yeah, we have a good squad. We have Sandeep Lamachane. He'll spin us to win it. So he'll spin us to victory. But yes, that pretty much wraps up the preview show. Nikhil, all I've got to say is thank you very much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure on all 3 preview shows. I'll leave the links to both your channels and, of course, the Carib Cricket Podcast, which is brilliant. And I thoroughly do recommend it for anyone watching this. It's really funny and insightful. So yes, do go check that out. But yes, that wraps up the show, guys. To all those who've tuned in, thank you as always for tuning in. And as always, guys, enjoy the rest of your day.